Hi, Dolly. I just saw this hilarious, I don't know how to get to it now, where like it kind of changes your background, but hi, Farina. It was the best. It was like butterflies all around my head with like a little red nose. It was so cute. But I can't figure out how to get back to there, so I think it might be just a picture. Hi, Tamara. Okay, I'm gonna wait, maybe 30 seconds, and then we're just gonna jump right in because I want to continue on with the live that we did on Tuesday. We're gonna take it a little bit further, talk about how we're numbing our potential, and see what we come up with. So the one thing I would love, hi Colleen, is if you are feeling so inclined or inspired, comment and share what you're thinking or any insights you might have so that everyone can see it, because I can guarantee you that whatever you're thinking, other people are probably thinking the same thing too, or some other people are thinking the same thing. So don't be afraid to share. We're all in this together. We're all creating this big wave of personal expansion together, and there's no need to fear the answers to the questions because they're all perfect. So I'm going to start while everyone's joining in with today's inspiration from Robin Sharma, which is so awesome because it's in perfect alignment with this work that we're all doing together right now. And it's called the Law of Diminishing Intent, which says that the longer you wait to implement a new idea or strategy, the less enthusiasm you will have for it. Act daily on your strategy for change. Act daily on your strategy for change before it dies a quick death, burying your future vision with it. World-class people never leave the sight of a great idea without taking some action to bring it to life. Ideation without execution is nothing more than delusion. Just pretty to the point, I would say. And then the second thing I wanted to share with you, which I'm going to start every one of these lives with, is the manifesto that I wrote for each and every one of you guys that is on your ascension journey, or your spiritual journey, or your spiritual revelation or revolution, or your expansion journey, whatever you want to call it. This manifesto is absolutely for you if you are here today watching. Even if you're watching this in the recording, you are meant to hear this, and this is for you. A divine warrior is ready to let go of the past by stepping out of the box she no longer fits in. She values deliberate and imperfect action, courage and vulnerability, wisdom and intuition, and lastly, collaboration and community. She is free from judgment, excuses, blaming, and competition with her sisters. She is no longer paralyzed by her fears, silenced by her thinking, or stuck in her victim story. She collaborates, she supports, and she shares. She grows wings with her sisters, she straightens their crowns, and she wipes their tears. A divine gifted warrior uses her voice to tap into her greatness, even in the face of fear, and she shares her purpose with the world. She is unapologetically and fearlessly unstoppable as she takes her divine gifts out into the world. That's us, ladies. So today's little chat is around what is it you are numbing and why. And this can be a little bit of a sensitive topic because for a lot of people, numbing is the idea of a chemical, something chemical that you're using to numb. And it may or it may not be. There are many different ways you can numb, and I would really be curious to hear what you use as a numbing agent, which could be anything from overdosing on self-help. I'm going to air quote that for a reason. You could be binge watching Netflix. I hear some people, they can watch like 2 or 3 seasons of a Netflix series all in one go, which is really hard to wrap my head around, but that's how some people numb. No problem, Dolly. Good to see you as well. Social media, like scrolling constantly, hours spent on social media, by flipping their priorities around in a way that isn't in alignment with self-awareness. Being busy, oh my gosh, being busy is a really, really powerful one that a lot of really powerful women use to numb. Perfectionism, again, another one that very powerful women use because they're afraid of, well, we'll get there. Analyzing, overanalyzing. So I air quoted self-help because someone said to me recently, you know, I'm afraid of all of this self-help work that I'm doing becoming someone who preaches self-help. And it's so funny because I never think of this work as self-help. I think of it as personal growth. So I feel like when you are experiencing this expansion through the power of personal growth, it's very, very different than self-help. Self-help is almost like there's something wrong with you. Like there's something that needs to be fixed. And that is certainly not in the energetic field of what it is that I do. So I just wanted to put that out there, that self-help, I personally feel like self-help and personal growth are different. So what is it you're numbing? So one thing I can share, or one thing I can say with certainty, if you're here listening to this, whether it's live or recording, I'm going back and forth because I've got two different things on the go here, then you are trying to find the answers to some really important, deep-seated, burning questions that you have, which is awesome. That's perfect. That's beautiful. But it's really difficult to hear the answers or to understand the answers if you're numbing your energetic space, which is where the answers lie. So for me, the answer to that was like literally a lightning bolt. It was like something hit me in the side of the head. And I should, if I had my journal, I'd show you. I wrote in big letters in my journal with a big ugly felt pen because it was just so obvious. It's like, why couldn't I figure that out? So what am I numbing and what am I running away from? That was the question I kept asking myself, like, why? And what I realized is that the thing that I'm numbing is my potential. Without a doubt, that is the thing that I numb. And I do it 3 different ways religiously. One is by being busy, like really busy, because I'm really good at being really busy, even though a 19-year-old boy at Home Depot once told me that there's no such thing as multitasking. So I said to him, little guy, come hang out with me for a day. Anyways, that didn't go for very well. Anyway, so I'm really, really good at being busy. I love to-do lists. They're like my thing. I'm really good at jumping from one thing to another, to another, to another. And I complete things without a doubt. But as soon as I master something, I'm bored and I move on. Me and boredom do not play well in the sandbox together. So it could be anything. It could be something very difficult or something very simple. As soon as I tackle it, as soon as it's like, oh yeah, that's easy now, I move on to the next thing. And it's just a distraction. That's all it is a distraction. And then the third thing that I use as a numbing agent is white wine. Really crappy boxed white wine, not even good stuff with a cork, because that wouldn't make sense. And when I say that, it's not like I sit down and drink a box of wine. But if I have one glass of wine, that's perfect because that will distract me and mellow me out and I'll be like, whew, yeah, I just don't think I'll do any of that work stuff now because I've had a glass of wine and I'm super mellow. So those are my 3 things that I use religiously to numb my potential and to distract me away from the thing that I'm meant to do, or my potential. And your potential, I've had quite a few people asking this question, what is my gift? What is my gift? Your potential is where your purpose and your gift lie. So if you're numbing your potential, it's pretty hard to figure out or hear the answer to the question, what is my gift? What is the purpose? What is my purpose? So for me, being seen, being heard, and being a leader is why I was numbing my potential. It's all attached to an unconscious fear of rejection and judgment. And I suspect everyone that's here, that's watching this or listening to this, has a certain amount of that fear of rejection or judgment. It's just inherently, I mean, that's part of being human. That's why we're here on this planet, is learn how to be rejected and learn how to be judged, because that's just how it goes. But it actually doesn't have to be that way. The challenge with those fears is every one of those fears, every fear that we have is attached to an emotion. And it's actually the emotion that is the piece that's so real for us. And as Ainsley MacLeod says, your emotions are the voice of your soul. For me, this is just me, and I'm sure this resonates to a certain degree with every one of you. Rejection is attached to sadness, loneliness, and hurt for me. And judgment is attached to anger and resentment and uncertainty. And this all came from my childhood, my story, my lovely story. We all have a story, a really good story that's true, totally true. Even if it's not even remotely true. My story is totally true. So in my early years, I explained on Tuesday that I did a lot of moving. I'll come back to that in a second. So in my early years, this all came from being a child that moved so much. And in my later years, this all came primarily from my family and my friends being judged and being rejected. And when it comes from people that love you the most, that's the hardest piece to wrap your head around, for sure. That's when the fear and the emotion run deep. So the thing that really it didn't scare me. I wouldn't have said scared, because not much scares me other than outhouses and open water, which definitely leads me to believe that in my past life I drowned in an outhouse. Anyways, so what is it that I'm so afraid of? So if I put myself out there to truly be seen like this, like what I'm doing right now, you might not like what I have to say. You might think, who the hell does she think she is? You might call me arrogant or self-centered. I'm neither of those, just saying. You might laugh at me. You might disagree with me. You might unfollow me, hell. Or you might, whatever, insert the blank. I'm sure you guys would think you can finish that statement yourself. You might blah, blah, blah. So, and all of this is real. I made it, it's in my head. It's created my reality. Therefore, it's real, even if it's not real. So where does all this stem from? I'll just reiterate again, because there's some people on here that weren't here Tuesday that don't know my story. Not that it's all that interesting. Well, it is kind of interesting. But as a little kid, I moved every 2 years, 14 towns, in remote places. Like one of the places I lived in was Aklavik, which was in almost the Arctic Circle. And my brother and I were the only 2 white children in the village. All the other children were Eskimos. So we actually couldn't go to school because we were the only ones that spoke English. When we left the Northwest Territories and the Yukon, the first civilized place we moved to was Cloverdale. I would have been grade 2. My brother would have been grade 3. This is how out of touch we were. When we flew into the city, my brother, looking out of the airplane window, said, "Hey, Mom, is that a barge down there?" Because that's the only thing we knew of that had lights were barges. So every 2 years I moved, and in every town I went to 2 schools. And what I learned from a very young age is that I don't fit in. That I was mocked, I was excluded, I was judged, I was criticized. And all of this taught me to conform, to blend in, to be quiet, to accommodate, to compromise, stay small. Don't shine too bright, don't be too athletic, don't be too smart, don't be too creative, don't be too nice, don't be too funny, don't be too tall. The tall part was hard, but whatever. Not that I'm that tall. But I just learned, you just dummy down, girl. You just dummy down. That's the easiest way to fit in. You dummy down for 50 years, you get really fucking good at it. Excuse my language. So I've spent my whole life quietly, sometimes not so quietly, questioning some pretty powerful things, but doing it really quietly because I was afraid of being judged. One of them being organized religion. I was raised Catholic, and from a very young age, I knew there was something inherently wrong with being taught that guilt was the way to live life. I can remember, this is a great story. So when I was in Catholic school, grade 2, every Tuesday morning we had to go to confessionals. I'm in grade 2. What sins do I have? So I would go to the confessional, I would get in the confessional, and I would cover my head like this. I can remember it like it was yesterday. And I would lie. I would make up lies of sins. I stole some Wrigley spearmint gum. I shit in my brother's shoe. I kicked the dog in the side of the head. We didn't even have a dog. But I didn't know what to say for a sin, so I would cover my head because I was sure I was going to get hit in the head by lightning. So seriously, from a very young age, I figured out that there's something not right about this. So I had a tendency to question both religion, authority, and industry, because I knew deep within myself that there was something wrong with the information. Just like every one of you that's listening probably knows inherently that there's something bigger out there for you. That you're meant for something bigger, that you're meant to do something bigger. I truly believe if you were here, if you were listening, that you were one of those people. You know there's something more important out there. And I've known this from a very young age. I wake up every day of my adult life going, I know, but I don't know what it is. I just know that there's something bigger. And I had a couple of very successful businesses previous to this where it was my job to help people with injuries. And I think I did a pretty darn good job. The businesses were very successful, but I still knew this is not what I meant to do. It's still bigger. So it was a stepping stone, though. It was a stepping stone to get me to where I was today. The challenge was my need to dummy down and play small and be quiet is what kept me from really looking for the answer to the question, what is it that I'm numbing? What is it that I'm numbing? What am I running from? Why am I doing this shit that doesn't matter? So that is the lightning bolt answer for me, is I'm numbing my potential. If you're listening to this is very cool because I know this for certain. You are on your own ascension journey. You are in the pocket that my ideal client sits in. You're stuck in the space between who you once were and you no longer are, and who you're meant to be, but you can't quite figure it out. That is where I sat, I bet you, for 6 years, wondering what the frig is it I'm meant to do? And it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. Part of the challenge being in that pocket is the fear of no longer being who you once were, how that's going to impact the people around you. And we talked a bit about this on Tuesday. And let me see how this works. Woohoo! We talked about this on Tuesday, is if you have a fear of how your ascension, expansion, revolution, whatever you want to call it, how that's going to impact the people around you, what I would invite you to consider is that as you grow and expand, the people that are meant to come along with you will automatically be elevated through the power of your growth. You don't have to preach. You don't have to share. You don't have to tell anyone to do anything. You can, but you will naturally bring the people that are meant to move along this ascension with you. And I shared this story on Tuesday about my husband, who this is all very foreign to him. And I had a gifted reading years ago, and what the gifted reader said to me was, you are on a journey, don't leave your husband behind. And I didn't know where the journey, I wasn't sure if I was going to Morocco or Hawaii, but I was going neither of those places. Anyways, I realized about 3 years ago, what she was saying is your job is to bring him along gently because he's moving at a different pace than you. And that is perfectly okay. It's not my job to change him. My job is to grow and allow him to come along in whatever way feels best for you. So we are all on our own ascension journey, moving through different stages and levels and energy fields, discovering what level of soul we are, what type of soul we are, who our soulmates are. And all of this is so important. You're important, your ascension is important, your voice matters, your ideas matter, your emotions matter. your journey matters, but none of it matters if you don't share it. If you're numbing your potential, you can't find your purpose and your gifts, and you can't share it. You can't take it out into the world. And not every one of us is meant to go have a podcast or have a video series or to have a TV show. Your ascension journey might be to volunteer at a homeless shelter, or it might be to write a manual on, I don't know, how to make bread. I don't know what your purpose or your gift is, or your ascension model looks like. All I know is as we grow, we create a wave and we bring people along with us, and that wave is just going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But we can't do this if we're numbing our potential. I'm wondering if anybody is willing to share how they numb their potential, or what you are avoiding doing, or what is your first messy and imperfect action that you're going to take. As I was thinking about this particular live today, for some reason I got hit on the other side of the head by spirit guides saying, you need to take a nap. Like, a nap? It's the last thing I need to do. I'm busy. I have a big to-do list. But what I realized NAP stood for was a numbing accountability partner. So I'd love to invite you guys, if you're not already in the Voice of Choice closed Facebook group, that's where I'm trying to keep all my answers to people's questions, is in that group, because then everybody gets to hear the questions and see the answers all at once. So if you can go to Voice of Choice Conversation, just request to join it. I'd love to have you come in, and if someone is looking for a numbing accountability partner, or a NAP, they could easily find one in the Facebook group. So if there's 10 of you that are all using the same thing to numb, what would be a really cool thing to numb with? Like, come on, someone give me a really awesome numbing mechanism. Doing your hair? Like 2 hours of hair doing every day? I don't know. Dry scrubbing? Good numbing one. Anyways, you can all figure out what it is you're numbing, how you're numbing, and maybe you can work together to start creating some deliberate and imperfect action. For those of you who are super attached to perfection, and because of that lives in the same box with procrastination, you procrastinate because you're so afraid if you don't do it perfect, then you might get judged or you might get ridiculed. Then here's the thing. Taking messy and imperfect action daily moves you forward. Even if you make a mistake, who cares if you make a mistake? Mistakes are the best. I always say mistakes are only a mistake if you don't learn from them. So taking some messy and imperfect action, coming up with a nap, and share with me in the Facebook page how you're numbing your potential and what you're avoiding doing. So the last, food. Thanks, Colleen. Oh yeah, I should have, that's a great one. A no-brainer, right? Food. It's so easily accessible. It's there. It's like the cupboard yells at you at nighttime from 8 o'clock on. Even if there's nothing in the cupboard, it's yelling at you. So the last thing I'm going to share with you before I let you go, first of all, thank you very much for your time. I respect so much that you took time out of the middle of your day to be here and to listen to me blither and curse, although I limited my cursing to one. For those of you who are in that pocket that I just shared, the pocket between who you once were and who you know you're truly meant to be, this is the program that I'm rolling out at the beginning of October. This is not, don't worry about, I'm sharing for those of you who are meant to hear this. This is for you. I'm going to continue doing these lives for good now, twice a month. The next two are going to be September 28th and September 30th. I'm going to do 2 more lives in here. But if someone's ready to move forward to the next level, the Divine Warriors Spiritual Transformation Program is going to roll out at the beginning of October. And I'm only going to work with 9 women at a time on it. It's really cool because you can do it at your own pace. It's not like it's super structured, other than you get 10 hours of group coaching with me a month. It's going to have 3 pillars. Each pillar's got 6 modules. And for me, the pillars are a reflection of our journey. And so it's the past, the present, and the future. So there's going to be 6 modules on the past about what happened that created us the way we are in our present. There's going to be 6 modules about where we are in the present and why things look the way they do. And then 6 modules regarding the future, including your divine and imperfect future side hustle. So in this program, you will actually have to declare a breakthrough and declare a side hustle of some sort. Side hustle could be something small like running a 10K. But it's going to be super fun, and it's going to be with women that are on the same journey in the same place. So if it interests you at all, you can reach out to me about that. Don't worry about that. We can do an alignment call. Regardless, I'm here for you guys. I'm here to do these on a regular basis. I'm going to do some short little quick ones whenever things come to me. They'll just be put in the Facebook page. And that's all I got. I was going to try and keep this to 25 minutes. It's 4:25. Boom. Anyone have any thoughts? Anyone going to give us a share? Or am I going to go have a glass of wine? I'm kidding. Totally kidding. Thank you so much for being here today, you guys. And I look forward to sharing more with you in a few weeks here. And reach out to me anytime through the Facebook page. I'm always checking in. And I admire your ability to be here in the face of confusion and frustration and uncertainty, and just know that that was me, and there is a way. I promise you there is a way. So have a great afternoon, everybody, and I will chat with you soon.